Welcome to the Mike and Doug Show. I'm Doug. Hi, Mike.
Hey, Doug.
Holy moly, this is the day. Okay, that's the reason I started off with a big smile, because this is the day after or 2 days after the launch of MySqif for public consumption after your beta testing. And if you don't know what MySqif is, it's going to blow your mind when you hear this, but then you'll understand why I'm so excited about this. This is, for me, having been in the NSA and a cryptologist, this is the first time I've seen a spec of anybody being able to win the war against those who want to take away our privacy and actually give you a system that they can't break into. And in fact, what does it do? It reclaims your right of free speech. So, Michael, congratulations. I want to take a lot of credit for this. I want to take 1/3 credit for this, because when you launched the button, you looked at us and said, I'm going to push this button and it launches. And somebody said, let's put our fingers on Michael's. So Tyler put her finger on yours and I put my finger on yours and we launched the button. So I get 1/3 credit.
That's correct. You did.
But that's not true. You gathered somehow. And you tell the story how these people actually came to you. But the point is, you had the best cryptologist, and this is no exaggeration, in the world work out a system that cannot be broken. And if you don't believe this, I'm not going to give out his name, because I've always considered his name, even his whatever pseudonym, whatever, to be super top secret. But if you go and you look up studies in cryptology, and you look up the person who has the most articles out there and is considered the king of cryptology, that's who Mike, I think, called you up. Didn't he call you up?
He did. He contacted us years ago after he was reading about Leader Technology's story in the theft of social networking. And he and his partners were experiencing a similar kind of attack and were trying to figure out what to do about it. And that's how we decided to team up.
You have introduced us to so many people that had a story like yours. They had an invention and it was taken, and they had no rights and they accept threats. All they got was threats, no rights, just threats. And they knew that the threats would be followed through on, because we've seen it too many times. So what we're talking about here is something that you'd say, oh no, you can't tell us that. You can't tell us there's a cryptological system that can keep the NSA out of the back door. You guys are the ones who told us about the back door. Can you tell them the name of that back door again? It's called the
Dual EC DRBG algorithm.
If you don't know that, you don't know nothing. Okay. If you don't know there's a back door and everything, then you didn't look at the code. Well, right. Michael and his team, again, they wrote code that even if you had the code, you couldn't figure it out. Okay. This is the most amazing thing. But why wouldn't the government? Because first question should be, ding, NSA is going to come in and take it. How did you get through the national security? This is point to point. One free citizen to another free citizen, right. One patriot to another. No one can check into it. And it's not just a little email communication. It can handle anything, any file, and they've now demonstrated after their beta testing, it can handle files that are enormous. Nothing seems to move as fast as this device to transfer securely over the internet. Things like your patent, things that you don't want people to see. And in this day and age, I'll start off with this. I'm going to let Michael tell you all about it, because I'm a Luddite. You all know that. My name is Douglas Ned Luddite. Call me Ned. I hate machines, and Michael has to take my hand and put it on the machine, touch the button. No, I don't want to. Why? He figured all that out. Me, I was in the NSA. I got out. I considered it kind of scary, and I wasn't ready to deal with it. But I can tell you what, I knew at that time the best cryptology systems there were. I was literally a cryptologist, but I was in the communications room, so I literally was on the machines that first encrypted it, and then you had to go to another encryption, then you had to put it into these card systems and send it through a microwave that could be determined whether anybody was tapping into your system, so it was perfectly secure. We actually helped develop some of that stuff, but what Michael and Skiff have done is beyond the beyond, but they don't want it because it's just point to point. They can't send it out to everybody all at once, and it isn't. But the system is so simple. He taught me how to use it in like 1 minute maybe, and it wasn't even that. And because I'm a complete idiot, he had to tell me, go look on your bar at the bottom. I'm like, what bar at the bottom? I don't go to bars. No, just go to that. Okay, go to this file. Where do I find that? And it took less than 1 minute. I'm up running on it, and I can send him intelligence reports. At this point, they put people in jail for those in Britain and in Europe because they clamped down on free speech there. We still have it for a second now. And if you get onto the system now, you'll have it even after they do the full clampdown. You'll actually have, for the first time in a long time, free speech in America. Congratulations on the release of MySqif. I applaud you. I don't understand it. See if you can help us understand it, Michael.
Yeah, it is pretty easy. And I think that the main benefit of it is the people that have looked at this approach, which is called polymorphic encryption, were very interested in it. And the one thing that held them back from doing anything with it is because there was no way to put a backdoor in it. Because of the way it worked, it essentially, if you're familiar with encryption in World War II, they did something called one-time pad. And with a one-time pad, some of those encrypted files from World War II have never been cracked because of that. It's the same approach, but it basically uses the unique characteristics of each person's device, the sender and receiver, and it identifies unique characteristics that cannot be cloned, cannot be predicted ahead of time. Those are shared between the two parties, and then master keys are created on each side, which then allow a sender to encrypt and send a encrypted file to the receiver that can be opened, and then the encrypted file and the keys dissolve. Remember the old Mission Impossible tape recorder that dissolved after it was played? It's kind of like that, only in the digital world. And each time a person sends or receives a MySqif encrypted, polymorphically encrypted file, this activity occurs. And the other interesting thing about the keys is that in what is normally known as the gold standard of encryption, which would be AES 256, it's a static private key, it's a static public key. So once a hacker gets in, receives those particular keys, they can encrypt intercepted messages from two parties. In this case, they cannot do that because each time an encrypted file occurs, the master keys encrypt the file and then disappear. And so therefore, there's never anything to hack. And in terms of the encrypted file itself, if you remember back to your days in mathematics, in exponential equations, you remember 10 to the 300th power in seconds. That's the time it takes to hack an AES 256 gold standard file. In the case of our encryption, it's 10 to the 1500th power. And I'm talking not exaggeration, that's just the math. And that's an equivalent amount of time of 3 lifetimes of the universe. Which is
even with quantum computers.
Even with quantum computers.
Didn't I get you to say the other day, even if you took all the quantum computers in the world now, put them all together in tandem, it still wouldn't do it?
Exactly. The quantum computers, it's mostly myth today. They don't really operate like most people think in the ethereal world that they operate. It's very unstable. It only operates for short periods of time, requires a lot of equipment, and it's susceptible to vibrations of the earth, sound. It doesn't last very long, and their resources, called qubits, are very limited. So with quantum computers, most of what you think you know about quantum computers is a myth, and it's an intentional myth by the people putting it out to basically stall anyone trying to do developments like we're talking about to counter what seems to be the most powerful computer that could ever exist in the world.
You call it polymorphic quantum proof. What you mean by that is You've already done a beta test, and you've already offered money to anybody out there who can break this code, even a teensy bitsy, not at all, not
Right.
1 nano, whatever, not 1 byte. And what happened? Nobody got it, proved nothing. It's completely unbreakable. Plus,
Well, and we have carried that offer on. So up on our website, MySqif.net, we offer $20,000 reward if you can crack the file.
and so you can say quantum proof now. Quantum proof now is a myth. Quantum, even if you make it in the future, what ain't going to happen, you're still going to verify that quantum computers are not going to break this code.
We wondered whether we should say quantum proof, because if you know anything about math, you know that anything can potentially or in theory be cracked if you can figure out how to do it. The idea that something could be cracked in 3 lifetimes of the universe means if you're still around in 3 lifetimes of the universe, you might read what somebody tried to crack.
Which would, for me, from Ned Ludd, it'd be, "Hi, Mike, how are you today?"
Exactly.
But they still couldn't get me for it, because I'm not going to be like those old ladies in England recently. And now it came out after that recent one that was in the news all over. She wrote, "This vaccine sucks." They arrested her, put her in jail. It is now that illegal in other United Kingdom prisons, countries. They actually have a rule, $40,000 to criticize and 5 years prison, but it's for each offense. So if you did it 20 times before they got there, then that's 100 years in prison. This is where we're going. There is no free speech. This is the only thing I know. And I myself, literally, folks, 5 years he's been telling me about this, he and his brilliant friends, and he's gone through a whole team of people he's worked with all over the world, actually. And he's explaining it to me, and I had great resistance technology, but I'm not an idiot because I used to do some of this when I was young. You can't comprehend this, so you can't figure it out. Nobody can do this. Other people, we've already seen 2 other people come out on the internet who said pretty much what Michael is telling you. He has actually now got under control. You can sign up, you can use it for very inexpensive. Other people, and you look at these videos and you go, well, that's stupid. That guy doesn't know what he's talking about. So even if it comes out that Elon Musk tells you he has a completely secure system, it's on a platform that's stolen from Leader Technologies. Oh, wait, who owns and directs Leader Technology? That would be Michael McKibben.
Yeah, the other thing we did in offering this MySqif.com product is we are offering a lifetime license, as long as they're subscribing, a license to use social networking legally. And this is unique. It hasn't been out there before. We put the Miller Act notice out to President Trump. He ignored it. And so what we've decided is to take the licensing claims and obligation to take care of Leader and its invention to we the people. So we're saying, in we the people, we will give you a license for a legal use of social networking on all your devices as a part of subscribing to MySqif.com. And I'll just go ahead and mention the prices. We've got $120 a year for an annual subscription, $40 a quarter, or $15 a month. So obviously that's
and free to begin with.
And free for 7 days. So anybody who signs up, free for 7 days. You don't have to put up a credit card. You just start using it and can play with it for 7 days. And then after that, we'll prompt you to decide what kind of subscription you'd like to have. And if you don't choose to subscribe, but still want to receive MySqif encrypted emails, you can continue to use the app in read-only mode, which will let you decrypt files sent to you by a subscriber.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, this is what your original invention, which they stole and put into IBM Eclipse Foundation and made supposed open source for everybody, and all the cardboard cutouts from Silicon Valley now run billion-dollar companies. What a joke. This is beyond them. You have outdone yourself. This is basically pulling the rug out from underneath them, because if they can't decrypt it, they can't flag it. Well, we're all going to be flagged soon.
We had a design in social networking that would encrypt any file stored on the social environment, because the assumption was that your privacy is your constitutional right and your moral right, and we have no right as the provider of interrupting that right. And so what we designed into the system was a way that a user could encrypt or not encrypt. It was their choice. But they could encrypt their stored data in a way that would do what we're talking about now. But once it was stolen, all of that design on the storage side of it was ripped out, and it was never encrypted and has always been for free, even though there are a lot of players who've come out and claimed that they have encryption. What they have is AES 256 encryption, which was hacked in 2002, was broken in 2002. So none of the providers who have encryption services today, including VPNs, can actually make a claim of trust and security because of this broken A256 model.
And because of the discovery that you made when a certain person on the internet told us about the Federal Bridge Authority public key infrastructure, we know that nothing, the DOD, the DOJ, the FBI, all their stuff is completely not only open to backdoors, but the keys that are used for the things they think are encryption are complete nonsense to the people who own the keys.
Correct.
We won't go there right now.
They don't own them. They manage them.
Manage them. But yes, that's right. And that's very complicated. You wouldn't believe the politics involved in that. We discovered that. As far as I know, no one else has ever talked about it but one person. But anyway, the point is, you just got around them and you went back to what you were doing to begin with, which is creating a free and open global network that is scalable to handle billions of people at a time. So you can send out one message and literally in 1 minute, a billion people would all have the message. This is a dream of free speech. This is global free speech. It had to be stolen, had to be weaponized. And now this is a key for the individual, for the patriot who wishes to claim back your right for not only life, liberty, freedom, and the pursuit of happiness. No, how about the right of property? Because if they can always spy on you and steal it, you have no property.
Right. Intellectual property is a myth in the current technology environment. This will allow you to do something proactive to take back your privacy, to take back your property, and not have to assume that it's going to be stolen by the providers that you're using, which most people know that their information is being hacked and mined and sold, and anything that goes through MySqif cannot be accessed by them, even if it goes over the internet, which it will. That encrypted file cannot be read, and there will be no master keys to open it out on the internet.
I want to give a personal note of this, what I will use it for, and then I want to point out something that seems to be a very strange compare and contrast situation here. So for me, okay, I'm writing books, which in the very, very near future will be verboten. They won't be allowed because I talk about evil and I name the evil. So when I send it to my editor, I send the book, right? I send him a message. I'm not going to send a message anymore. I'm going to put it in a file. I'm going to send it through SQIF. I'm going to make sure it's secure so it doesn't get intercepted, so I don't get visited by the DOJ and FBI again to say, you can't print that. Because that's what it's going to be, folks, in the very, very near future. So if you have anything, and we have a list here of things this actually helps you with, which is a very, very impressive list. I didn't know from the beginning. When you started to describe this, I'm going, yeah, right. Oh, yeah, greatest cryptologist in the world. Yeah, right. Oh, yeah, completely secure, right? I was in the NSA. You're going to tell me it's completely, Well,
frankly, when I first met them, I didn't believe what they were telling me either.
It took me all this time. Not only that, it took me all this time for the whole thing that you just had to do, just like what you created for Leader Technologies. Everything, the foundation, the work, all the people, the teams of people working on this had to all come together so that you could release this a few days ago as an antidote to the release or for Truth Social going public on IPO, which is nothing more than a distraction for a site that's going to insinuate that it's secure, it's safe, it's impenetrable. He might even have Truth Social cryptology site that you can go and do the same thing. Elon Musk has already insinuated he's going to do that. So these are the allurements to people who are trying to claim that they've done what you've done. But even though the guy who invented the math for this, which is the secret, the real big secret, which
Correct.
No one can steal, is the math. And if you can't understand the math, then it's useless to you. And Michael has the ability to understand that, and the guy who worked with it, and all the people and all their foibles to pull this together so that we can be offered at a time when you see groups like Truth Social or X or any of the others telling you that you're safe and secure coming to our site. No, you're not. And if you're on any forum, it doesn't matter. Michael, name them all, whether it's AOL or whether it's all
Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo
all that's
Mail.
red now. Now, it's not red. This has been admitted in congressional hearings. Everything is collected, and they hold it for a while. And if they target you, they can go in and
not for
listen.
a while, Douglas. Not for a while. It's in your dark profile forever.
Oh, well, certainly for certain people.
No, this is true for everybody now.
Well, that's why they created the Utah Center, which is probably the largest cloud computing in the world for the memory of how long they're going to keep this. They might keep it for your lifetime. They might say, okay,
that's
70 years.
These guys are lazy, and they decided to abandon the earlier approaches to just keep track of information they were interested in. They said it's easier just to keep everything in a dark profile and then be able to data mine that for the rest of that person's life. And so essentially your intellectual property, anything about you that's now being transmitted anywhere in the internet, whether you created it or not, if you were just talked about in somebody else's information, that will accrue to your dark profile. That data will be mined and will be used for various types of manipulation, vote rigging, financial control, health care, you name it. And you as a person are nothing but a data resource to these evil individuals who are now driving this system through our banks headquartered in the City of London.
User agreements. Michael has educated us to user agreements.
Right.
You give up your firstborn, your secondborn, your thirdborn. You give up everything. You have no rights. But you read his user agreement, you're going to go, wow, whoever wrote this, I want to elect them for president. Because he actually covers you for yourself, though you may not even know that you're uncovered through the other systems that are being used. And it's ironclad and it's beautiful. And it's already a success. It's already been launched. It's already a success. And so basically, if you think for any reason that you won't be using this system, whether you believe in the doom and gloom that I'm preaching here, or whether you are, you don't know why you would need it, here's what it covers. Proprietary business planning. In other words, any plan you have that could make you money is probably going to be stolen from you because, of course, the Global Engagement Center.
If you are sending anything about your business plans, your PowerPoints, your Excel files, your Word documents through any of the attachments on any of the free email systems, it is guaranteed that is being data mined by your opponents. Period.
And again, it's going to be recorded. And if you're targeted and if you're worth it, they're using the DOD, the Department of Defense. They're using the military. They're using Homeland Security. They're using the FBI, the DOJ, and every force they have to go after anybody who they can steal from and turn it into a bioweapon or just take it from you to begin with. Okay. Correct. So if you think this isn't going on, they go in and they steal property by these methods of going online for sending you something that you sign online, and then they go and they claim your property and take it from you. This has happened to people. This is because they work online and it's taken. Okay, how about today? We got to see something extraordinary. We got to see Michael McKibben and his conclave of miners, he calls them the miners, working on the financial reports of, we're not going to tell you what, but working on the financial reports of somebody. It was astounding how, in what time. It's like watching a Hollywood movie. So If your financial reports, if Michael McKibben gets a hold of them, not just the SEC, not the FTA, not all those things, no. If he gets your private ones, you're done in if you are corrupt. So if you're not sending your financial reports in a secure system, now not your tax returns, but anything else that you don't want them to know, even tax returns, but financial reports, are they secure online, Mike?
Anything you want to send through the digital, MySqif will be private, just between the two parties that were exchanging it.
So you yourself, you can't get into my private financials. You yourself, you own the company. You created this new system. You can't get into it?
No.
No matter what.
We never have your master key, and therefore we can't get into your encrypted system.
Not even using NQTel,
no, even if we're using the dual ECDRBG backdoor algorithm, it won't matter. They can't read it either.
So here's the foolproof system, which, believe me, it took a long time to convince me it's 100% foolproof. I got my financials, Mike, and my name is Ned Ludd, and I don't want nobody to see them. So they're on this jump drive. Mm-hmm. Now, I know when I plug this jump drive into my computer, I'm a paranoid, techno, anti-digital person, and I don't want nobody to see it. So I want to keep my files separate. So then when I plug that in, once I have MySqif on my computer, I can send that secret file, send it to you. You can open it. I can unplug it from my computer, and there's no way in digital heaven, which is really hell, that they can steal that from me. Is that what you're saying?
That is correct. Now,
that's the most secure system I've ever heard of.
Somebody might break into your house and take your thumb drive, but
there you go.
Short of that.
Human error, and that would be me. I'll probably lose the thumb drive.
Hide it in the wall.
Okay, how about my healthcare files? Do you realize that I don't want anyone to see my healthcare files for many, many, many reasons? And you already had somebody who said, Holy Lord, thank you for creating this, because I can now send all HIPAA files and say that it's guaranteed, that it's secure. So this could become one of the biggest things ever being used point to point to secure for HIPAA, HARPA, all of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've already had insurance agents talk about exchanging data with their insurers through MySqif, as opposed to sending it as an attachment to an email, which is not HIPAA compliant, and yet they're all claiming it is.
Precisely.
So HIPAA is a confidence trick, primarily.
HIPAA is basically saying, do this impossible thing. You've now made it possible to do the impossible government thing.
Right.
This is amazing. I can see why every single medical piece of information that goes across the internet should go into MySqif. Okay, trade secrets. Holy moly, people. That's what we're talking about. Michael, I suspect, you told me the story, I suspect that when you sent some information to your son at a certain college that it was intercepted, had you had MySqif then, they might not have been able to steal all this and know what your plan was. These were business plans. These were all kinds of secret stuff, of course, and somehow I believe they intercepted it. I may be wrong, but the point is your trade secrets are safe on MySqif, and if you don't think that you need to keep them secret, well, Michael, if you haven't listened to his story, then you tell them your story.
Well, trade secrets are anything that is not publicly known that you do not want to make publicly known. Now, essentially, if you're sending a trade secret as an attachment on Gmail, you're making it publicly known through Gmail, and that can be proven. So the fact is, a lot of people are very naively thinking that out of sight, out of mind, and I can use these email systems, and as long as I don't know that somebody's not looking at it, then that is prima facie evidence that they're not looking at it, and that's not true. Here's the way I suggest people think about MySqif. Have it as a companion to your email system, because you're not going to stop using that. We know that. Okay, so when you're tempted in your traditional work to attach a document to a Gmail account or a Hotmail account or a Yahoo Mail account, if you're tempted to attach a file and you ask yourself, do I really want everybody on Main Street to read this? Because some will. Then avoid the temptation to attach it to the email and instead send it through MySqif to the other person. If you do that simple thing, it will become an invaluable companion to your messaging practices now. And it will improve your privacy and ensure that the file will reach the destination without a man in the middle, which is what's called all these security predators, being able to read it or intercept it.
We imagined when we started Anonymous Patriots that we first off knew that anything we were sending back and forth to the people who were printing it, it was going to go. It's open. It's going to be read. It's Right. And so we always assume that's why we called ourselves the Anonymous Patriots, to hide. But I, as a cryptologist, know I wasn't hiding from anything. There's a backdoor in everything except MySqif. Now, secret client data you are pledged to protect. That would be your attorney-client privilege, and you better keep that. Tell them how that works, Michael.
There are lots of kinds of data that you share with your attorney, with your accountant, with your business planning people, your strategy people across the board that are your proprietary ideas for how you're going to create a competitive advantage. And with any of that kind of stuff, and it could be as innocuous as here's going to be our branding strategy, how we're going to put forward our logo and how we're going to put forward our company message. Those all seem innocuous, but those are all trade secrets that probably, if you're consulting to somebody else, you've committed to that other person that you will not share their trade secrets with a third party. And if you don't use MySqif, then you can't guarantee that at all. And so I think that's one of those that should be considered broadly for anybody that's doing work where they've pledged secrecy to their client.
Oh, you just made me realize if I signed a non-disclosure agreement with the government doing top secret work and I accidentally sent a piece of it over my Gmail, I could be sent to jail. But if I sent it over MySqif, because it was part of my work, so they could actually set you up and put you in jail if you couldn't prove that you had a secure system, which you don't unless you have MySqif.
Well, what you're talking about is some of the blackmail that occurs with relationships where you have signed a secrecy agreement, in that if your client intercepts the idea that you didn't do that, then that is a potential blackmail over you, because otherwise it might come out that you did that. And that's how a lot of people control the behavior of their consultants.
And one of the biggest things I found in investigating the death of inventors whose inventions were then taken and turned into weapons because they filed a patent is your sales plans. Industrial espionage is one of the biggest things in the world. If you know what your competition is doing, and this would also be true for patriots who are organizing or any other type of anti-color revolution communications, or you just wanted to tell your beautiful secrets to your beloved, like whispering in her ear. But if it's your sales plans, you could take, you better be putting your sales plan, you better either hand deliver them or deliver them over Skiff, folks.
Here's one sure thing about intercepted sales plans. You're never going to find out. Just all of a sudden, your competitors are going to be right there with you, and you don't know how they figured it out.
Oh, and that's the next thing on the list, competitive analysis. So once they steal your sales plans, they also steal all your projections, and they get there before you do, and they didn't invent anything because they also stole your invention because you was too silly to use MySqif.
Exactly. Yeah, so there are a lot of issues here where ignorance is not bliss, and where if you use certain mechanisms like free email, remember, the definition of free email is if the service is free, the product is me. And in this case, we're talking about your intellectual property as you put it into plans and analysis and writing and pictures and illustrations and artwork and ideas for how to make your shareholders money. If you don't use MySqif, then you can't guarantee those things.
Copyrights, publishing rights. We've seen the theft of it for music, for everything, for images, and it's $1 trillion industry of theft. These people all need to be using MySqif so that they can send these back and forth if they need to. And hopefully, unfortunately, we need to in this world. It's almost impossible to do it without it.
I don't think it's ever not been true. I think that the technologies have changed, but I think human nature has been the same for 5,000 years, 10,000 years, in that if I can get a competitive advantage over another person because I secretly learned something that they were doing, I do it. And I don't think that's different. What's different is it's moving a lot faster through digital means, and therefore I can in one day send out enough information from my computer to completely give out every idea I've ever had, and then share it with the public and the whole world. And in our case with Leader Technologies and the theft of our intellectual property, I can say that very confidently that we locked down our planning phase very thoroughly, to the point where I had various spies tell me we're a hard target. And nobody could get access to our ideas except our patent attorney, James P. Chandler. And so one of the things he had to do was create a confidence trick with us to figure out a way he could get a copy of our source code in some sort of form that we would consider legitimate. Well, he was an attorney, supposedly subject to attorney-client privilege, which is a joke. I have learned that if anybody says that they're protecting your privacy, they're lying as an attorney. And I know that's an oxymoron, but that is true. And so what we experienced was he did get a copy of our source code and immediately went to IBM. And within 11 weeks, they were out on the market with the new version of the IBM Eclipse software, and it magically had all of our components in it. And but that was the only way he could get it, because we had locked down what we were doing.
I know you have, because I've seen the documents. And I've seen the fights you've had for 20 years. It's maybe more than 20 years, and like almost $20 million fighting. And they admit, yes, they committed a crime, but they're not going to do anything about it. So this time, they're not going to be able to have access to things, and you are going to empower other people to not be pulled in. But the people who duped you were the top people in Washington, D.C.
That was the intelligence community of the world: MI6,
exactly.
CIA, NSA, NRO, the defense. What's the defense version of FBI and CIA? DIA.
DIA.
All of them were engaged in one way or another with our patent attorney. And as we know, we're all engaged with the DARPA and the Highlands Group, and what they intended to do with all technology was weaponize it. And they believed in that way they would keep America on top. But as we now know, the British knew that if they could support America in keeping America on top, the British could then drive the bus.
Absolutely. Going back to the long list, which should be endless, this was just your short list of the immediate things you can use that will transform your life and protect you and cause secure communications of your intellectual property, of your property. But even more than that, we're going to get to the part that is even better in a second. But let's go to family information. Do you understand that now, and I have from direct experience, when you're in court, your emails can be used against you, and they don't even have to tell you how they got your emails. And it can be used as evidence against you. So literally, if you're in Britain and you're not using MySqif and you are still online with Gmail or anything else, sending messages to people, you got to be careful. One wrong word can put you in jail. So when we're talking family information, it can be your psychological profile. It can be private information that you don't want anybody to see. So this is for everybody. This list proved to me, when I read this, and when I get to the bottom, I laughed out loud because it was the first thing that would have been on my list. We'll get there in a second. But family information, oh yeah. Now, I don't know what you mean. I know what you mean by student teacher. I have students that I talk to online, and we use Messenger. Well, hello. Do I really want the evil ones hearing the spiritual advice I'm giving people? No, I don't. I can push this button right here on my computer, folks. This is how easy it is. Watch this. See this? Yeah, I'm going to push the button on my computer and I get into MySqif and I can operate it and send a secret message to somebody. And then they say, I accept your secret message, Dougie Poo. This is better than the Green Hornet decoding ring. This is better than the, what do they call it? The cone of silence. It's better than the cone of silence. And I'm like, cut it out. My whole life, I was trying to figure out ways to do this against our enemy, the Russians. No, we couldn't get close. The FBI, the CIA, the NSA still can't get close to this. They just can't do it. So what do you mean by parishioner, excuse me. For counseling.
Student teacher. It's counseling.
Yeah.
And that's very private and it's nobody else's business. And if you don't protect it, then any text you send or any emails you send with any of that personal information that's juicy and some of your enemies may want to know or keep in their quiver, they will intercept. But if you use MySqif, then those items, as long as each side then takes that data and puts it somewhere so it's not accessible, then you have exchanged a private communication through digital means.
I get it. Let's say one of my loved ones is in a very compromised position. I don't want that intercepted, especially since I might be on the bad social credit list. Oh, right. Absolutely. Now it says location and space. I want to describe this one for myself. This is what I think of. All your phones that have 5G are triangulating you at all times. They know where you are. When I get in my car, the dadgum phone tells me to stay in practically, this is my interpretation, my paranoid interpretation. It tells me, stay in your 15-minute city. It's 16 minutes to your home. Go home. My phone always tells me, as soon as I get in my car and I turn on my car, go home. You're 16 minutes from home. It's like, what the heck? They want to know where you're at because they can simply put it into a subroutine, because I don't believe in artificial intelligence, and they can analyze your movements and predict your next movement.
Right.
You think you're going to run away to your secret cabin in Canada in your airplane? No.
Well, people always react to this one like, well, why do I care? I have nothing else to hide. And the answer to this gets at the last point, which I'm not going to.
I want to say it.
Spill your
please let me say
introduction.
It says, well, there's two of them. First one is private thoughts and feelings. As I said, whispering sweet nothings into your loved one's ear. I don't want anybody knowing what I'm saying. I don't want anybody listening, okay? And the last one is the best reason for SQIF, drum roll, none of anyone's business.
Right.
It's none of your I don't have anything to hide. So what? I'm doing it because it's none of your business.
Exactly.
I don't want the government in my business. That always turns out bad.
How novel that is. We have been so desensitized to the idea of privacy that people are not protecting their privacy and they're not even seeing anything wrong with being surveilled. That's sad.
How'd you come up with the name MySqif?
It's MySqif, SQIF.com. And the reason we did SQIF.com because SKIF wasn't available as a domain name.
Well, could you explain why I'm laughing and others might not? I know. You understand that.
I know. People are going to wonder, did you...
Secure Communication Information Facility. The top secret above the top secret is what the stupid politicians go into to get their secret information. Remember when Devin Nunes would go into the SQIF and only he and that guy who Trump is chumming with, what's his name? Anyway, it was Devin Nunes' assistant. Cash Patel, and the whole world would see every day them filming them walk into the SQIF. We thought that was funny, but we thought we'd put a Q in there. Why? Because Q is the scientist who invented the devices for James Bond. Q is the being who outsmarted Jean-Luc Picard in Star Trek, okay? This is Q stuff. And Q and Anonymous and the whole thing. Well, this is the real thing. Everybody else is out there bragging, but there is no one who can tell you what we just told you today. You cannot get a more secure system anywhere in the universe. And we've talked to the aliens. They don't even have this technology. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
That's all cute, but Q, I mean, I knew that would always be the speculation everybody would have, but the fact is SQIF wasn't available with a K. So we used Q. We thought, okay, that's kind of useful. We can play with that. But there was no deep meaning there.
No, for you, but for me, it's just hysterical. Remember that the dumb people running the NSA, the FBI, the DOJ, they get a big kick out of putting some kind of stupid thing next to their secret a black ops project, psychological warfare operation, right? And so
Right.
I was part of that. I got to name some secret stuff I invented. And some of them I am not proud of to tell anybody that I was involved in that because I was just a dumb PFC. I was 21 years old. And you can get sucked into this stuff real easy. But let me tell you, right now, there is no free speech in most of the Western world. They put in demonic laws that stop it. And this one they can't stop because they're not interested in stopping it because they don't think that one person talking to another can ever do anything. Because they're just not very bright and they're not as intelligent.
Well,
creative.
that's the essence of privacy. Hey, and Douglas, we promised that with these videos for MySqif, we would not go as long as we normally do. So I would just like to invite everyone to sign up, take the 7 days experiment, contact us if you have any questions, because the paradigm's a little different. This idea of asking the person that's going to receive your file to approve receiving the file sends back a half key. And that's an important part of the process because then when the master key is created by the encryptor, the encrypted file goes along with the half key from the encryptor, and then the master key is reformed on the other side. So the master key never goes anywhere except your two machines. And even if it's intercepted, here's another key issue. Even if that master key is intercepted, it can only be used on the two devices that exchanged the keys, and then it disappears. So the idea that a hacker could get into your system and the other person's system and grab the encrypted file and open it is mathematically, what do they call it? Unreachable.
Spock would say improbable.
Yes.
Jim, it is improbable.
Yes.
Yes. Well, I just want to congratulate you on the launch of SQIF, and I want to say that I am witnessing the resuscitation of free speech in America. Congratulations, Michael.
You're welcome. Great to talk to you.